Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgi, and this is another episode of Thorgi's Picks, the show on this channel where I give you a quick comic recommendation and then provide you with a link in the description down below of where you can find it on Amazon. And if you purchase that book on Amazon or anything else, as long as you start by going through that link, we get a small cut of the profits. It's a great way to treat yourself and help support this channel at the same time. And today, a brand new book from Dark Horse is coming out called Modern Fantasy. It's about this fantastical, mythical world filled with wizards and dragons and ogres and everything else that you could imagine from a D&D campaign, but they all have to work regular 9-to-5 jobs just like the rest of us. It's one of those books that combines fantasy with slice of life. I actually really dig books like that, and it's no surprise that that's the topic of it because it's from the artist Kristen Goodsnook, and this is not her first book. Her first book was Henchgirl, and that is the book that we're spotlighting today. Now, if you guys have watched this channel for long enough, you'll know that this actually popped up a couple years ago on my top 100 comics of the year list, and I've actually heard back from a couple people who decided to start reading that series because I recommended it, and they've all loved it. I haven't had anybody contact me and say, yeah, I tried that, didn't really enjoy it. Everybody who tried it came away really enjoying it. This is an unbelievably charming series that is all about this girl who is working as a hench person for a supervillain in a world filled with superheroes. Now, when you hear me talking about hench people, you're probably picturing the faceless goons who get punched by superheroes and then they're never heard from again. That's not what this series is. This series takes that concept of having to work for a living under a supervillain, and they treat it like that. It's a job. It's a gig. It's a thing you have to show up for and deal with your crappy boss and deal with your crappy coworkers, and you do it to get paid. That's it. It's just a job. Again, kind of like the Modern Fantasy book, it's one of those things that takes the fantastic and makes it kind of slice of life. And I really dig stuff like that because our protagonist, Henchgirl, yeah, she is working for a supervillain who is trying to rob the city and take it over. But she kind of has like a heart of gold. She's one of those people who's like, well, I don't really want to hurt people. I don't really want to do bad things, but I don't want to be poor either. And listen, anybody who right after you got out of high school or after you got out of college, especially if you have massive student loan debt, you've been in that situation. You've been in that position before where it's like, I really don't want to work this job, but I need the money. And this job actually is doing some really kind of terrible stuff that I really disagree with. But the better the money is, the more my morals kind of sway one way or another. Yeah, it really does kind of capture that sense that we all kind of went through. And I do enjoy also all the superhero aspects of this because it's incredibly quirky. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, this guy is just meant to be a Superman ripoff. This person is just meant to be a Batman ripoff. Everybody has very bizarre, unique powers to them. Like, they actually did stop and think of stuff that's like, okay, how could this play into the story, but not be like some really big, super cool thing? Something that would actually match the weird, quirky tone of this universe that we have established. Like, she meets this guy, and they start going out, and his power is he can basically turn into a mannequin, but he can turn into a mannequin because his ghost can come out of it. He can basically astral project, but when he does that, his body just kind of like turns into a lifeless doll. It sounds like kind of a lame power, but for the story, it really works. That's what makes this so unique. They come up with really crazy stuff in here, like one of her roommates has the ability to make carrots sprout out of her body. Sounds really dumb, but for the gags they do with it, and for where they take that in the story, it works. It actually is pulled off very well. Yeah, this is one of those books that I met this artist at a convention, and they were selling individual copies of the book, and it was clearly stuff that she had kind of like printed out herself. And I was like, you know what, yeah, I'll check it out, why not? I picked up the first issue of it, read it that night, and then the next day I went back to the convention center, found her, and I was like, give me the rest of the issues. Because this is really darn fun. I am really digging this series. And then luckily for all of us, Dark Horse felt the same way, because Dark Horse picked up the series and then eventually published every single one of the books in one massive trade. And when I say massive trade, that makes it sound like, oh man, this is going to be a big deal that you're selling me. This is going to be like some huge commitment. It's around 10 issues, which yes, that is a lot. It's being sold for $17.99, and that's not like the discount price on it. That's literally the price it had when it came out. That's actually huge. That's a fantastic deal. Marvel or DC putting out their trade with this many issues would be charging $25 minimum, maybe even going up to $30, especially if it was Marvel. So yeah, $17.99 for these 10 issues, that is a fantastic deal. And as I said, this book, the big appeal of it was the quirky sense of humor, and it was the incredibly likable character. That's something I haven't really talked about yet. The character of Henchgirl herself, yes, she is incredibly quirky. Yes, she is in a relatable position. But even beyond that, she is just a very likable character. But she's also very unique. It isn't just one of those characters where it's like, oh, she's going through things that I've gone through. She goes through things and then she will react to them in ways that's like, okay, I can understand people doing that, but just exaggerate it enough that's humorous. It's not just, oh, I do the same thing. It's, I would not do that, but I can see how in a panic situation I would do that. It's that style of humor, and I absolutely think that this book is able to nail that pretty continuously in almost every single issue. And towards the end of it, it's not just all quirky humor. It does actually get a lot of heart towards the end, because then it starts delving into her family as well, and you start getting some dimensions to her that, wow, I was not expecting in here. And yeah, where this all ended, it was appropriate for the book. I will say, if you check out any of this, and you are enjoying what you've seen so far, the ending does not let you down. That is all I will say. I'm not going into any further details. If you want to know more, you just have to read the book yourself. But like I said, if you want to support this book, if you want to support a smaller indie title out there, and an artist who is currently up and coming in the comic book community with a brand new series out from Dark Horse today, then make sure that you check the Amazon link down below. It will take you to where you can buy a copy of this book. And like I said, if you buy that or anything else on Amazon, as long as you start by going through that link, we get a small cut of the profits. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.